guys! Today, we'll be recapping a story called Snow Mountain Monster Princess. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! The story starts with our lovely white-haired main lead, Valerie, celebrating her birthday with a piece of bread all by herself in a frozen castle. She has fought her way to the age of 19, but she is well aware that everyone outside of this fortress is hoping she dies. What led her to this point? Although Princess Valerie Belov was sentenced to a term of imprisonment in the exiled castle, the public still felt that she should have met the same fate as her traitorous mother, the former empress, who was responsible for the empress's miscarriage. They requested the emperor to reconsider the punishment, but instead, they were met with a fierce glare and a warning, or they might find themselves in Valerie's situation. Our poor girl understands that the emperor, her half-brother, chose imprisonment at the frozen castle as a means to save her from death. But to be honest, this is no different from a death sentence, and she felt it was extremely unfair because she had done nothing wrong. Exiled Castle is located on the highest point of a snow mountain that was once lush with greenery but froze 500 years ago after the emperor of the time killed the mountain's monster, which possessed freezing abilities. After stabbing the monster's heart, the entire mountain froze, including the people of the nearby villages, which is why everyone is still frightened of the place. Valerie found herself not only locked up, but also with the freezing power of the monster, which really complicated her situation. She feels like nothing in her life is worth living anymore, having never experienced even a tiny bit of warmth in her 19 years. So tonight, she has decided to end it all. She uses her ice power to create sharp ice shards and stab them into herself, causing her to collapse to the ground bleeding. For the first time, she felt a sense of warmth, and as she lay there, she prayed to be reborn in a place that is not cold. In an instant, she watches her mom toss her beloved music box onto the floor, causing it to crack. Valerie can't believe that even as she nears death, she can't find peace and must experience her mother's hatred for her all over again. Her mother, Alicia, is the former empress, and when Millard, Valerie's half-brother, succeeded to the throne, Alicia became furious and blamed Valerie for being born as a daughter. Valerie was so caught up in her thoughts that her mother got violent and slapped her hard, which confused her because she isn't supposed to feel anything, right? Because she has died? Suddenly, she feels her heart racing and her hand glowing, leading her to speculate that she may have returned to the past while still possessing her powers, but she finds it all too cruel. This poor baby believes that her regression is a curse, which shows just how tough things have been for her. The music box was given to her by Millard, and listening to it, it was the only thing that kept Valerie at peace, but it is now destroyed in front of her. Her mother tells her to lock herself in the room until her wounds heal, but this second shot at life makes her wonder why she put herself through so much abuse. She runs outdoors, and the only person she can think of is her brother. Now that she thinks about it, he continued giving her supplies while she was at the exiled castle, so she hopes he will help her this time as well. Oh, I'm so glad she's taking action! However, because she is so feeble and small, the maids quickly catch her, prompting her to consider freezing them all now. But she quickly dismisses the idea because doing so would mean becoming a monster herself. She then spots a young boy with blonde hair hiding in the corner, and while the maids are covering her mouth and pulling her back to her room, she makes sure he sees that she's being forced. She really hopes the kid picks up on the hint and shares what he just saw with his dad. Valerie is now shaking in fear as her own mother gives her the death gaze before gripping her head and declaring that she'll be punished for what she's done. Fortunately, before anything serious happens, Alicia gets shocked when she receives word that the Emperor's knights are on their way, indicating that the little prince did indeed inform his father. This irritates Alicia, so she instantly instructs her maid to clean the room, then tapes Valerie's mouth, binds her hands behind, and throws her in the closet while instructing her daughter to play dead. Gosh, she's really nailing the whole Mom of the Year thing, isn't she? Not long after that, Bruno Renamen, captain of the Imperial Knights, arrives with his unit and informs Alicia that the Emperor has instructed them to check on the princess. Alicia states that the princess is taking a sleep, but Bruno's insistence makes her explode, clearly upset that he won't listen to her just because she is the former empress. She says that unless it's the Emperor, she won't show her child to anyone, leaving Bruno no choice but to walk away, while our girl feels so horrified, begging the knight not to leave since if he does, her life would return to what it was in her past life. To everyone's surprise, the Emperor arrives after sensing that Alicia might behave this way, and with his arms crossed, he requests to see his younger sister. Millard had never paid attention to Valerie for the past 9 years, So Alicia wonders why he is visiting so suddenly, prompting him to simply state that he received information that his sister, the Empire's only princess, had been dragged by maids earlier. Alicia then flashes that cunning smile, stating that she and her maids have no idea what he's talking about, which irritates the Emperor even more because it implies that everyone in this palace is turning a blind eye. He quickly orders the knights to look for the princess, causing Alicia to scream that he's overreacting, forcing the young prince to intervene and admit that he witnessed what happened and was the one who reported it. The little boy then gestures to the closet, believing it is where Valerie is hidden, and as soon as it opens, he smiles warmly, reassuring Valerie that he has come to save her. After the prince has finished removing the rope and tape from Valerie's mouth, Valerie grabs the opportunity to kneel before the Emperor and ask for his help. Just watching his sister beg like this, he knows there is abuse going on, so he orders the arrest of Alicia and all of the staff in the palace, forcing Alicia to break down and curse her own daughter. But good thing, Bruno shushes her. I love how quickly they caught her. The Emperor instructs Bruno to conduct a strict interrogation before giving Valerie a warm smile and suggests they should leave. However, as he reaches out to pat her head, our girl flinches, thinking the Emperor might hit her. He quickly says sorry and chooses to put his coat on her, kneels down to be at her level, and gently asks if he can carry her. She nods, and Big Bro quickly scoops her up before turning to his son, Erlance, and letting him know that they're off to Ferdinand Palace now. For the first time, Valerie receives help, and the warmth feels so unfamiliar that she begins to wonder if this is all just a dream. But her dark thoughts fade away when Erlance gazes at her with such concern, asking if she's hurt badly. This is when she realizes that the kind gazes of Erlance and the Emperor are surely not a dream, and she truly wishes to bask a little longer in their warmth. The warmth will be so intense that you'll get a tan, my darling! The Emperor brings both children back to his palace, where the head butler, Kyle, welcomes them as they arrive. He swiftly spots Valerie and proposes that they call the Imperial Doctor, to which the Emperor readily consents. After learning that his wife, the Empress, and the Empress Dowager, his mom, are waiting for him in the drawing room, the Emperor assigns Rael, a Ferdinand Palace private servant, to look after Valerie. Rael then welcomes Valerie with warmth and carries her in her arms with joy. Erlance unexpectedly expresses a wish to join Valerie, which makes the Emperor smile as he watches them go, because even though they look like just two little kids, Valerie is actually Erlance's aunt and Erlance is her nephew. That's exactly what I'm thinking! The kids are nephew and aunt, and it will be strange if they act like siblings, right? His father is her brother, so maybe they'll end up as friends? Meanwhile, as Valerie sits, she catches Erlance looking at her bruises, leading her to apologize, which makes him wonder if she did something wrong. She explains that he witnesses countless things that he doesn't need to see, and she's certain he's shocked. However, Erlance insists that she ought to express gratitude rather than offer an apology. Valerie hesitates, her voice barely above a whisper as she thanks him for his help, which he graciously acknowledges with a smile. After a little while, Dr. Kana Ryan arrives, much to Valerie's surprise, as the Lady Doctor is well known for being the best among the 3 royal doctors. In her past life, Kana is the one who saves the Empress from being poisoned by her mother. Kana then requests Erlance to leave so she can attend to Valerie, which he doesn't like. But after Valerie reassures him that she'll be fine, he reluctantly tells her that he'll be waiting by the door, and warns the doctor not to hurt Valerie before stepping out of the room. The doctor then tenderly tends to Valerie's wounds, noting that a typical child would cry and scream while in pain, but Valerie is unusually calm and assumes that this is how she copes. After the treatment, Valerie asks the doctor if she will have to reveal all of her scars beneath her clothing, which surprises the doctor. Valerie understands that Kana will be reporting back to the Emperor, so she feels it's important to show the extent of the abuse she's endured. As she begins to unbutton her clothes, her tiny hands start to tremble, so Kana gently holds her hands and offers to assist, which Valerie happily accepts. Kana feels a heavy heart as she writes her report to the Emperor, revealing that the princess has faced continuous abuse. When Valerie and Erlance step into the room where the Emperor, Empress, and Empress Dowager are gathered, the atmosphere is quite somber. Valerie is taken aback when the Emperor expresses his gratitude for her courage over the years. While he firmly believes that Alicia is truly evil, they still require more solid evidence to remove her title as the former Empress. Lila, Millard's wife and the new Empress, shares a concerned smile as she tells her that everyone has come together to hear her story. And our little girl, all wrapped up in bandages, eagerly responds with a yes. Millard's anger boils over as he absorbs the whole story, demanding to know why Valerie never sought assistance. Yet, in an instant, he pulls back, understanding that it is the duty of the adults to recognize when something is wrong. Valerie shares a terrible lesson her mother taught her, that no one will ever offer her help or love, not even the Emperor, simply because she is the daughter of his enemy. Millard wasn't expecting that Alicia was threatening and blaming her own daughter. He feels frustrated with himself for not realizing that all the servants are on her side, which led him to believe that Valerie was truly loved by her mom. The Emperor sincerely apologizes to Valerie, while Erlance wraps her in a hug, tears in his eyes as he reassures her that she isn't a monster. The real monsters are those who have hurt her. Valerie has been trying to be strong on her own for so long, so she really needed this hug and kind words. At last, she gets to have the moment to cry it all out, which prompts the Empress to offer her comforting words as well, reassuring her that she doesn't have to be hurting anymore because she now has them. At last, our girl finds a family that truly understands her struggles. After Millard agrees with his mother, the Empress Dowager Karina, that they should stop being so merciful with Alicia, the three grown-ups try to figure out what punishment is appropriate. In the dungeon where everyone is imprisoned, all of the maids claim to be innocent and agree to give full details about what happened in the Ronin Palace. The Emperor looks across at the quiet Alicia and asks if she has anything to say now that all of her servants have turned their backs on her, but all he gets is a glare from her terrifying blue eyes. Alicia's abuse is now spreading like wildfire throughout the palace, so the Emperor calls Valerie today, but he can't help but be amazed by how Erlance follows Valerie wherever she goes. Anyway, he becomes serious and warns Valerie that he aims to sentence Alicia Beloved to death, which is exactly the same verdict her mother received in her previous life. Alicia had 2 poisoning cases in the past, and the first one involved her trying to poison the Empress Dowager Karina, but it didn't go as planned. This led to Alicia straining her relationship with the royal officials, which is also why Valerie had to be locked up in the Ronin Palace. The second poisoning involved Empress Lila, which led to her being in a coma. As a result, Alicia faced the death penalty, while Valerie was exiled to the Frozen Castle. But this time, Alicia will receive the death penalty because of her. Millard sees Valerie's anxious expression and tells her that Alicia attempted to assassinate the Empress Dowager and that all of her actions had consequences, so he assures her that none of this is her responsibility. Valerie senses Millard's concern that she will blame herself for her mother's death. But in all honesty, she has prepared herself for this since she asked for his help and does not feel guilty. So she says with confidence that she's good with it. She then bows and shows her gratitude for his assistance, which baffles him given that she's just 9 years old, like Erlance. Now that he thinks about it, he reminds Erlance to address Valerie properly since she's his aunt. This makes the little boy pout a bit because he's getting used to them calling each other by names, and only Valerie is entitled to do that with him. He asks this with such an adorable expression that our girl can't help but say yes, which the Emperor finds cute, so he happily goes along with their decision. Have I commented on this before, but the Emperor is such a cutie! The day of her mom's execution has come, and she and Erlance are not allowed to leave the palace. The young prince notices her sighing and assumes she might want to see the former empress. With a playful smile, he states he knows a way to sneak out. As soon as they step out of the room, they run into Bruno, but Erlance appears completely unbothered and happily asks him to take them to the palace gate. As expected, Bruno refuses to grant his request, leading the little boy to playfully reveal his secret by saying that he knows he's the one who broke the Emperor's cherished vase before, and not his mom. The vase was created by his mom, so Erlance is confident that the Emperor won't overlook it, which is why his mom chose to take the blame. Poor Bruno gets checkmated, and now he's crying about how much his father and son are alike. As a result, Bruno is now holding both children, and when they reach the palace gate, they witness the knights in charge of Alicia's transfer, but they are caught by the Emperor, who is now furious with Bruno for not following his orders to keep the children within the palace. Before Bruno can explain, the knights who see the Emperor instantly greet him, causing Alicia to gaze in their direction and notice Valerie. Millard instantly hides his sister behind his back, but that doesn't stop her so-called mother from reminding her that she will never be loved, and the Imperial family will stop protecting her as soon as she loses her value. Bruno then quickly gags Alicia's mouth and orders the knight to get going, while Erlance takes Valerie's hand, hoping she doesn't take it seriously. She gazes directly at her mom and confidently states that her words no longer hurt her. After that, she bids her final farewell, leaving her mom looking quite surprised. That witch believed she would still have control over her daughter even after she passed away, but that expression shows she realizes she'll leave this world with nothing, just as she deserves. Valerie stood there until her mom left the main gate, taking all of Valerie's emotions with her, marking the end of long years of her harsh, cold world. Anyway, The Emperor remains set to punish the two children for sneaking out, but he will have to hear their explanations later after the execution today. Before he leaves, his hand comes closer, making Valerie flinch. But really, he just wants to give her a head pat. The kids are enjoying their snacks, but with everything going so well, Valerie can't help but wonder whether this is all in her head. Her hand starts to shake, but it calms down the moment Erlance takes it, gently reassuring her that they are her family who loves her dearly. This makes her question if she's worthy of being part of his family, but he just thinks it's silly because, of course, the moment they were born, they became a family, which fills our girl's heart with so much joy. After a little while, Kyle enters the room and summons Bruno outside for a talk, which the young prince assumes is about the execution of the former empress. Bruno then returns to the room to let them know that the execution has wrapped up, and that the emperor will be back soon. However, Valerie can tell he has more on his mind, so she simply expresses that she's glad everything went smoothly. She then says sorry to Bruno for causing him any trouble, which prompts this charming knight to kneel before her and ask her not to apologize. With a big smile, he playfully requests that she too should keep his secret. Oh, my good sir, that smile immediately adds you to my handsome knight list. He's so fine. Anyway, the three become serious because they will undoubtedly face punishment from the emperor. Bruno is certain that he will be told to run with a sandbag strapped to him, but he is unsure what will happen to the kids, prompting Erlance to offer that he go to his father alone to be scolded. However, Valerie quickly declines, leaving this cheeky boy with no choice but to simply give her a tip to ensure she does not get shouted at, something she worries she won't be able to pull off. Is it to make a cute face? Call the emperor Big Brother or something? They are now called in, and her brother looks quite intimidating as he waits to hear her excuse for sneaking out. Valerie shares her feelings, expressing that she hoped to witness her mom's downfall as a way to truly confirm that she had escaped from her abuse. She then catches Erlance giving her a thumbs up, indicating that it is time for what he taught her. So she puts her hands together and with an innocent, begging look, asks the emperor if he will truly scold her for her actions. It seems that move isn't quite having the expected effect on Millard. As his hands start to reach out while saying she'll be punished, Valerie's eyes darken and she braces for the worst. But just like before, Millard gently pats her head. He says that he will keep patting her head from now on, so she should get used to it since it's her punishment. But of course, Big Bro smiles and adds that he won't do it if she's scared, which makes her warm again, and she says that she actually likes it. After that, the Emperor tells the kids it's time for bed. And oh, Sir Bruno chimes in with a yes, prompting the Emperor to stop him in his tracks since it is time for his separate punishment. Bruno shows off that cute face exactly like Valerie did, but sir, that's only going to charm me, not the Emperor, who is now more eager to have you run laps with a sandbag. Today, Valerie finally realizes why Bruno had that uneasy look when he told them that the execution was complete. It turns out that before Alicia could be taken to the guillotine, she was killed by stones thrown by the angry crowd. The public was really upset with Alicia due to her attempt to poison the Empress Dowager, Karina. Even though her husband Kailas, the former emperor, was a tyrant leader, Karina cares for the people, which is why she's so beloved. Just to go over the family tree, Karina is now Valerie's stepmother and Kailas is her father, correct? I want to know more about their relationships. Anyway, in contrast to Valerie's past life, the public now views her differently and shows more compassion for her story of being abused by her mom. However, she is concerned that everything might change once her glaciokinesis, or ice manipulation power, is revealed. Uh-oh. Conceal. Don't fail, Elsa! She feels really guilty about keeping her power from her brother, so she decides to share the truth with him, no matter how things turn out. While they eat, she feels a strong urge to prove that her power is useful, but she finds herself in a tough spot since she lacks knowledge due to never having formal education, confined in a castle filled only with old books in Magliad Palace to read. No, my baby believes she must prove herself before she can be accepted. As she strolls around, she overhears the maids chatting about the warmer weather and their disappointment over not being able to enjoy shaved ice since the prices go up in the summer, which sparks a fun idea in her mind. Valerie decides to wash up alone today, which makes the maids a bit worried that they might have done something wrong, but the truth is, she just wants to train her powers. So as a little excuse, she explains that since she isn't a child anymore, she wants to try washing up by herself. Rael and the others have to go along with it and get the bath ready for her. Now that Valerie is all alone and considering how huge an imperial bathroom is, It's time for her to let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Kidding. She uses her power to create a huge ice shard, but since she's still a child, it's a bit harder for her to control it. This leads her to decide to train her skills more before presenting them to the Emperor, as she feels that any mistake could result in her powers being deemed dangerous. She then steps out of the bathroom after soaking in a hot tub to hide her icy energy, which Rael and the others think is so adorable. Today marks the 10th day that Valerie has been bathing on her own, which has made the maids feel a bit down. They're starting to wonder if perhaps the princess feels a little insecure about her body scars. Rael offers a concerned smile, but encourages the others to be patient until the princess feels ready to share with them. Valerie is so focused on training her powers that she doesn't notice how the maids are perceiving things. Today, she feels ready and excited to finally show her powers to the Emperor. Valerie arrives at the Ferdinand Palace, and Bruno quickly kneels down to her level to ask if she's here to see the Emperor. As she explains that she is, she spots a ginger-haired knight with an eye patch by the front door, smiling at her in such an adorable way that it, becomes a bit over the top, making him look a little scary now. Who is this goofy sunshine? I think I'm really going to like him. When she walks into the Emperor's office, she finds that he has prepared some sweets for her. However, she is quite in a serious mood and chooses to kneel down, pleading with him to allow her to stay in the palace under his protection. Millard is feeling frustrated because, as her brother, this is exactly what he intends to do. But he pauses when Valerie mentions that she has a secret to share. Her hands are shaking, and she stutters a bit as she finally discloses that she has glaciokinesis. Millard asks if Alicia is aware of her powers, which leads Valerie to share that no one was aware of her abilities. She confesses now because she felt it was important to be honest and not repay his kindness with a lie. She asks for his help once more and is surprised when Millard immediately agrees. Even though having someone who can instill fear in the Empire is risky, he believes wholeheartedly that she won't use her powers for anything harmful. The fact that Valerie didn't use her powers to kill Alicia, the very person who mistreated her, is a strong proof of her character. He reaches out his hand, hoping that Valerie will show him he made the right choice. Valerie understands that the Emperor will face various dangers by helping her, and as she cries, she gives her apologies. However, she recalls Erlance's advice to express more gratitude, which inspires her to change her words and thank the Emperor instead. He definitely loves it, as he is now offering that warm smile and giving her head a gentle pat again. After that, Millard becomes curious about her powers, and Valerie confidently says that she can control her ice power perfectly. They go to his office bathroom, and she proudly demonstrates her ability to create ice shards, spheres, cubes, and even an ice shape resembling Erlance. The Emperor is amazed, but he knows they can't keep this secret forever. They need to demonstrate that her powers can be used for good, perhaps by selling ice and raising money to help others. The challenge in ice businesses is keeping the ice from melting too quickly, but he believes that her glaciokinesis can solve this issue, and our girl happily agrees. She sweetly mentions that the remaining funds from the donation should go to him, making Big Bro burst into laughter as he playfully ruffles her hair, telling her that she doesn't need to repay him since her brother is the richest man in the land. She can take the money and donate to multiple places because one day, her generosity will turn into her strength. On her way back, the ginger-haired knight spots her and happily introduces himself as Rex, a member of the 1st Division of Imperial Knights. Absolutely! How could she forget when he made that silly face earlier? Rex noticed how anxious she was earlier, so he tried to cheer her up, but it seems like that didn't quite do the trick. Now he's asking for her forgiveness and even kneeling, hoping she'll give him a proper punishment. Thankfully, my man Sir Bruno notices what Rex is up to, so he quickly goes over to them and apologizes to Valerie, before introducing Rex as one of their youngest knights, but definitely the most capable one after him. Valerie has one more half-brother, Matthias Oswallow, the Emperor's younger brother who refused to become a Grand Duke and instead chose to carry on his unmarried uncle's lineage, hence his title as Duke Oswallow. He runs a guild named Harren and is the best candidate to take over the ice business, so the Emperor summoned Valerie today to finally meet with him. However, she knows Matthias despises her and her mother the most because he was there when his mother, Karina, nearly died after Alicia poisoned her, so there's a good chance he'll refuse to help her now. After some time, Matthias arrives, and my goodness, Big Bro is a hottie, which is unlike Valerie's memories of him, who always had that nerdy appearance with his glasses on. He walks by her, most likely because he didn't notice her since he isn't wearing his glasses, and then flops on the couch, complaining about having traveled for 4 days, and asks Millard why he summoned him. The Emperor explains that he wants Matthias to invest in his business, which surprises Matthias because he can't believe he's calling him for this, but not until the Emperor adds that it's about an ice business that uses power. Matthias puts on his glasses and is surprised to see our little cutie pie, but he doesn't appear to like her at all. The Emperor shares that Valerie has glaciokinesis, and our girl demonstrates her abilities by creating ice spheres. She explains that she has condensed cold air inside, which helps keep them cold for a long time. Matthias agrees that this business would undoubtedly be successful, but he expresses his distaste in working with the daughter of that horrible woman, leading Millard to suspect that he hasn't heard the latest news yet. Matthias looks really surprised when he finds out that Alicia has passed away, and after a bit more explaining, the grumpy brother is now crying so much and is totally on board to work with Valerie. Look at him turn into a softie! Matthias is said to be cold-blooded to the point where he won't bat an eye when someone dies, but seeing him cry nonstop right now convinces Valerie that such stories are untrue. Millard smiles and tells her that despite appearing cold, Matthias is the most sentimental person he knows. Matthias is on board with the ice business and intends to make the needed arrangements. However, before he proceeds, Millard requests that he clear out his palace, the Atera Palace, within 2 days. The Emperor says that Valerie is currently staying in Erlance's quarters, but he thinks it's time for her to have her own palace, which Matthias agrees with. Valerie insists on staying at her mother's palace, the Ronin Palace, which makes Matthias cranky, and tells her she should just accept what is handed to her, which she gladly does. The Emperor then asks for her permission to dispose of everything in Ronin Palace, which she agrees to, but she mentions that she needs to retrieve something precious from there first. She goes her way as Millard calls out Matthias for being so harsh earlier and orders him to at least accompany their sister. He quietly follows her from behind, and when they arrive, he just waits for her by the room door, curious about what could be so special around here. Then, he is completely taken aback by what Valerie picks up. This brings up memories of how frustrated he was with Millard because he was the one who purchased the music box, but he had no idea Millard intended to give it to Alicia's daughter. Millard states that he has no special explanation for this, apart from the fact that their sister is a child of the same age as his son, and that is all that counts to him. He's such a lovely brother, and their nation is definitely blessed to have a kind-hearted emperor. Matthias is crying again, which surprises Valerie that he actually followed her. Since the music box is cracked, he offers to carry it for her, which she shyly accepts, and the two of them walk silently to the Atera Palace. Matthias suddenly breaks the silence and admits to her that he loathed her since she was the daughter of the evil former empress. Since she was an only child, he thought she was loved, plus she resembled her mom perfectly. However, after hearing the whole story today, he feels regret for judging her so quickly. He bows and offers a heartfelt apology, mentioning that he's not seeking her acceptance of it. Instead, he promises to show his sincerity through his actions. Now this is how you properly apologize. Valerie gets why he felt that way about her, but it still hurt her. Honestly, she thought it was really unfair since it wasn't her choice to be born like this. However, she smiles and thanks him for genuinely apologizing, so she accepts it, and she appreciates that he intends to show it by his actions. She hopes he will keep his promise, and then beams that sweetest smile as she calls him brother. This is heartwarming, but my heart goes out to the Emperor. Matthias got called brother before him. Seeing how pure and innocent his sister is, Matthias feels really guilty for being a bad brother, so he gives himself a hard slap as a way to punish himself. Valerie shows him the cut on her hand and asks him to get it fixed, which instantly calms him down. He then carries her like a sack of potatoes towards the palace. The way she just accepted being carried like that is funny. When they arrive, the head maid gives her a horrified look, prompting her to feel that they must hate her for being Alicia's daughter. But to her surprise, the head maid is merely shocked at how Matthias is carrying her. He instantly puts her down, thinking that was normal because that is how he carries Erlance, and apologizes to Valerie. The head maid then smiles and introduces herself as Nella, and as soon as they all notice the cut on Valerie's finger, they suspect Matthias did something. The poor Duke swiftly explains that it's because of the music box, which relieves them, while one maid offers to summon the Imperial Doctor so the wound doesn't leave a scar on their precious princess. They proceed to the drawing room with Nella and the head butler, Lectar, while Matthias requests that the others prepare sweets for Valerie. The maids get emotional as they witness their once stubborn master transformed into a caring brother, and they all come together to ensure they treat the princess with the utmost care. It's wonderful to see how kind everyone is. When the arrival of the Imperial Doctor is announced, she knows it isn't Kana because the Lady Doctor is obviously busy, but she isn't expecting it to be Beldor Poswit. She dislikes this doctor since once, when she was sick, he stared at her with disdain and even made a comment about how worthless a princess she is. The doctor quickly approaches Matthias and praises for how handsome he looks, but he just gets a stern look from Big Bro and an order to hurry and take care of his sister's wound. However, the doctor believes it's best to address his swollen cheek first before looking at the princess's small wound, leaving both Nella and Lectar hoping their master will not get too overly enraged today. All I can say is rip to you, and you deserve it! With one call to Lectar, the butler knows just what to do, make the doctor kneel and tie his hands behind. Beldor is baffled as to why Matthias is acting this way given he used to despise the princess, which enrages our guy even more. It is true that he once despised Valerie, but it does not change the fact that she is the Empire's princess, and the doctor has no right to mock a member of an imperial family. He proudly stands next to Valerie and declares that he likes her now, reminding everyone in the room that whoever messes with his sister will undoubtedly face consequences. Beldor is then taken outside as Matthias lets him know that the Emperor will decide on his punishment. In the end, Matthias is the one who takes care of Valerie's cut, and he sweetly mentions that he'll need to feed her a lot because she's quite too skinny. After that, Matthias lets Nella and Lectar know that their new master will be Valerie. He hopes they will take good care of her, and in an instant, the two are overjoyed that the Atera Palace will be bustling again after Matthias has been away for 4 years. The day has finally arrived for her move to the Atera Palace. They get everything ready. Rael shares the news with Valerie that Beldor has been imprisoned following his investigation into multiple counts of corruption. Matthias then arrives to pick her up, but it appears that Erlance wants to tag along, which he has no choice but to allow. As they get close, Matthias chuckles when he notices what everyone has set up, so to avoid spoiling the surprise, he closes Valerie's eyes. When they arrive, Valerie is overwhelmed to see that the servants have organized a wonderful welcome party for her, complete with confetti and a 3-tier cake. However, our girl stands there distressed as she recalls her horrible memories with cakes, including the night she killed herself. Thankfully, Erlance calls her name and encourages her to enjoy the party, which causes our girl to cry as she expresses her appreciation to everyone. She's then asked to blow out the candles, and when she says that it's her first time doing so, Big Bro quickly makes a mental note to ensure her birthday celebration is a blast. Matthias then remembers her music box, and he cautiously suggests that she shouldn't leave it broken. He says he's found the best craftsman, and that makes Valerie excited to ask him to get it repaired. Now, her heart is so full of happiness because she can listen to her music box play again. The adorable little prince requests to spend the night in Valerie's palace, and while he sleeps peacefully, Valerie swears to herself that she will protect this family, particularly Erlance, who showed her that love like this can exist. Aww, who needs a male lead when I'm already so full with all this wonderful family love? Valerie is startled to see Rael the next morning, as she is expected to return to Ferdinand Palace after temporarily tending to her. The pretty maid makes a formal introduction, revealing that she is now a servant of the Atera Palace and Valerie's new personal maid, making Valerie cry with joy. However, she is concerned that Rael will feel demoted because she was once an emperor's attendant but is now serving a mere princess like her. This drives Rael to gently hold Valerie's hand as she recounts how she was the first one to bathe her and see all of the bruises and scars on her body. She describes how her heart broke at that time since Valerie never made a sound, prompting her to become concerned about her. After a few days, Valerie approached her and thanked her shyly, which made her realize that the princess is a very kind child, and now she would like to get to know her more. Valerie can't believe Rael feels this way about her, and she sincerely hopes she will stay by her side forever. After their heartwarming talk, Rael shares that the Empress will be arriving soon at the Atera Palace, bringing along a tailor. This means Valerie will definitely get to try on some beautiful dresses today. But our girl gets a bit confused when her big brothers are around, including my boyfie, Sir Bruno. Matthias's presence is understandable, although it is unusual to see the Emperor and his knight here during the busy afternoon. Millard honestly admits that he wants to see his wife help Valerie fit dresses, and he can just review all his papers here while Sir Bruno uses his escorting duty to tag along. Anyway, the Empress is absolutely glowing with joy because helping Valerie pick out dresses is a dream come true for her, something she always wished she could do if she had a daughter. Valerie believes that the clothes the Empress purchased before are more than enough. But the Empress can't shake off her guilt for only opting for ready-made dresses. So today, she hopes Valerie will see it as a thoughtful housewarming gift. Millard is excited to see the action, but the Empress lets him know that Valerie will only be trying on a few dresses, as it can be exhausting to go through all of them. Blue, green, and yellow all look great on our sweetie pie, but both the Emperor and Bruno are debating what suits Valerie best, which makes Matthias sigh, since the two really don't know much about dresses. He picks the silk one, which is softer, and the Empress is really impressed by how meticulous he is. Valerie is relieved that it is finally over after a few tries, which means it's time for the payment, prompting the three to quickly show off their checks, but sorry boys, sister-in-law beat you to it. My lords, I shall gladly accept all of your checks. Also, the way Bruno is participating is adorable. The Empress then realizes Valerie is already sleepy, so she gently carries her to her room. We all know the Emperor loves to give his little sister head pats, right? So today, Valerie's hair is a bit messy, which makes Matthias a little frustrated as he shoos Millard away while retying Valerie's hair. Just two brothers doting over their baby sister. Anyway, these siblings have gathered to discuss their ice business, but Valerie wonders why they don't appear to be afraid of her powers. Millard then smiles and tells her that Erlance, too, has powers. Valerie's shocked reaction gets Millard laughing so hard that he has to calm her down by patting her head, which also gets Matthias to react since, duh, he just fixed her hair a minute ago. Millard points out that Erlance occasionally has these really sharp senses that at first seem like coincidences, and seriously thinks that Erlance's power is similar to getting premonitions. Millard then continues to inform Valerie that it's the divine power of Rosjan, the god of light and the main deity of the Belov Empire. They symbolize the sun and light and are endowed with prophecy and clairvoyance abilities. According to the Pope, Erlance's powers are derived from a remnant of Rosjan's heavenly powers. While his powers manifest irregularly and beyond his control, they can be of tremendous use. This prompts Valerie to realize that it's not her imagination that she sometimes feels as though Erlance can see straight through her, and that his presence in the Ronin Palace at the time was no coincidence. Oh, so this explains why the young prince was there when our girl was dragged. Is there a chance he also knows about her past life? With a smile, she then asks Millard whether she can tell Erlance about her power, but Millard is concerned, pointing out that it is safer to limit the number of people who know her secret, and hoping that she can wait a little longer before telling Erlance. Matthias and Valerie walk out of the palace together, but he notices her sad expression, so he casually mentions that she'll soon start attending lessons like Erlance, which puzzles her. Matthias then goes on to explain that now that Valerie has settled in well at Atera Palace, it is time for her to continue her studies, which leads her to pause for a while before blurting out that he has observed her jealousy of Erlance. Matthias instantly confirms this and advises her that envying Erlance will not lead to any progress, prompting her to smile and confess that she also desires to attend classes like Erlance, expressing gratitude for his insight. After that, Matthias rushes back to Millard and explains that he wanted to comfort Valerie earlier and inform her that she's about to start classes, so he wants to talk about it with Millard. Millard is first skeptical of his brother's plan, claiming that Valerie doesn't have enough fun, but Matthias emphasizes that Valerie requested it and that she wants to learn, causing Millard to quickly get serious. They then discuss a suitable teacher for her and mutually agree that Viscount Camper is a good choice, so Millard writes a letter to send that day. Today, Erlance wonders if Valerie is going through puberty because she constantly bathes alone and locks herself in her room. This is because she's honing her skills, but Matthias can't help but chuckle and tease his younger sister, prompting our girl to shoot him a look. Matthias then explains to Erlance that Valerie is simply adjusting, and while he knows his nephew will not accept such an excuse, he knows he will let it pass. After that, the three of them rush because they're already late for their family dinner. As they arrive at the dining hall, the Empress Dowager Karina warmly invites Valerie to sit beside her, and the family dinner begins. Our girl is feeling a bit overwhelmed by how fancy all the meals are, so Karina suggests what to eat first, and she's just amazed at how delicious the salmon is. Karina keeps lending a hand, and Matthias can't help but notice, playfully remarking on how his mom has turned into a softie. He jokingly pretends to be hurt because his mom used to be really strict about etiquette, while his mom simply points out that he's too old to be jealous of his younger sister. Oh, that's a mom who definitely wanted a daughter. This prompts Millard to join in and playfully teases Matthias, implying that he might not want to give up his title as the cutest and youngest child in the family. Millard assures his little brother that he will look after him, then places some food on his plate and jokingly ruffles his hair, leaving Matthias at a loss for words and everyone sharing a hearty laugh. It's wonderful to see how these brothers share such a close bond. Karina has heard that Valerie is having a tutor, and while she believes the young girl should take her time before starting her studies, she's confident that Valerie will do well. The Empress Dowager then holds her hand and encourages her to take it easy because impatience can be harmful as well. As Matthias walks Valerie to her palace, he sees that she's really in a good mood, so he asks her how she felt about her first family dinner. Valerie feels a bit sad that it ended so soon because she truly loves sharing laughs with everyone. This makes Matthias beam with pride as he reassures her that there will be many more family gatherings to come. He then mentions that she will surely be glad their dinner ended quickly because he has something special waiting for her at the Atera Palace, making her eyes sparkle as she already knows what it is. As soon as they arrive, she happily plays the music box and finally gets to listen to her only friend from her past. Today, after finishing her class, Valerie happily visits her big bro Matthias, who's been quite busy lately. He explains that he's working hard to clear his schedule because Erlance has asked to go sightseeing with her, and that makes our girl so excited. Before diving into the fun stuff, it's time for some business work. Matthias asks her to whip up at least 20 ice cubes today, and she happily gets to work, saying that these will last even longer than the ones she made before. It's finally sightseeing day, and our two little cuties look absolutely adorable in their matching outfits. Big Bro is looking really dashing too, with his white tucked-in polo and a sword hanging by his side. This makes Valerie curious about Matthias' sword skills, but it seems like he only knows the basics and is more of a "I'm gonna punch you in the face" kind of guy. Matthias' martial arts expertise surprises her because he appears so nerdy, but she has to admit, Big Bro does have a good physique. Ugh, it would be amazing to see him in action. They have finally arrived at the capital's commercial market, the Rasen district, which is such a bustling place, so Matthias makes sure to give them the 101 on what to do and what not to do. After that, it's finally time to explore, and Valerie is absolutely thrilled to see that the ice she made was actually used to keep the fish fresh, while Erlance finds the shop selling corn dogs quite fascinating. Once Matthias gives them the go-ahead to use the money they received, they happily dive into buying various street foods, quickly emptying their coin purse. They keep walking around, and when Valerie spots a shop that sells bracelets, Big Bro already knows she wants one, so the three of them pick out matching bracelets. Now that they've done enough sightseeing, Matthias lets them know that they'll swing by his guild first before heading home, and the two happily agree. As they stroll along, Valerie feels a wave of anxiety wash over her when she catches sight of the McLeod Mountains, which are visible from just about anywhere in the Empire. She then looks around and sees how happy everyone seems, but she also knows that once word gets out about her power, no one will dare show her that kind of joy. It seems like past life trauma has a way of sneaking up when you're at your happiest, huh? After a bit of walking, they've made their way to the Harren Guild Rasen branch, and it looks like this is a surprise visit as Phil, the worker there, is absolutely taken aback to see him. Matthias can't help but chuckle at how chaotic Phil is at the moment. Phil, being straightforward, admits that it's all his doing and hopes he won't create more work for them. Well, fortunately for him, Matthias is just passing by. He then introduces his sister and nephew, which leads Phil to formally introduce himself as the head of the Harren Guild's Rasen branch. With the master present, Phil asks Matthias if he could take a moment to review some documents. Matthias agrees, but before he heads out, he reminds the kids to stay indoors unless they have his permission. The two kids are just relaxing when Valerie spots something concerning happening outside. She quickly stands up and rushes out, leaving Erlance a bit puzzled. He reminds her that they're not supposed to go out, but she just asks him to call Matthias quickly. She knows that she shouldn't be doing this, but it's hard for her to look away when she sees a drunk man dragging a crying little girl. She is now outside and looking around everywhere, but instead of finding the little girl, Valerie bumps into Rex and two other knights. Rex is taken aback to find the princess wandering by herself, but Valerie quickly cuts him, pleading for him to go with her because someone is in need of their help. The three knights agree to assist, so Rex carries our girl, and they all sprint like ninjas. They arrive just in time to see the little girl battered against the wall because the drunk man refuses to accept that she does not have any money, despite the fact that the girl explains that the only money she has is the money he took 2 days ago. The poor girl is now crying and trembling, but that doesn't stop the man from swinging the bottle at her, which is the signal for the knights to step in. The knight with purple tied hair grabs the drunk man's arm, while the short blue-haired lady knight smacks the bottle away before kicking him against the wall. The purple-haired knight then unsheaths his sword, ordering the man to stop already. Does becoming a knight in this empire require good looks? Why is everyone looking so beautiful? However, the drunk man grabs the bottle and throws it in Valerie's direction, which Rex quickly catches. This really gets our ginger knight furious, leading him to abandon their kind approach and ultimately beat the man. Now that it's done, Valerie walks over to the young girl and asks if she's okay, but the girl just glares and says she isn't thankful for her help at all. The little girl believes Valerie is a noble and is assisting her out of pity, which only makes matters worse for her because she and her mother will eventually be accused for what happened today. Actually, it makes sense. One-time assistance usually achieves nothing. Valerie explains that she's not pitying her, but rather doing so because she can relate, which enrages the young girl, since how can a noble with 3 guards understand her? Rex is ready to step in, but Valerie stops him and introduces herself as Valerie Belov, proudly revealing the scars on her arms. She talks about how tough her life used to be, but now she's living happily all thanks to the wonderful people around her, including the 3 knights. Valerie then walks closer to the young girl and shares that her help isn't just an act of kindness, but a way to pass on the support she has received from others. Not long after that, Big Bro finally shows up looking so worried, and it's just adorable how he carries the dangling Erlance. She then gets a little scolding from Matthias and a gentle smack on the head, followed by a head pat. Following that, the knights share the situation with him, and he discovers that the little girl's name is Luchia, and that the drunk man is her father. Luchia's father is jobless, but fortunately, her late grandfather left his store to her mother, which provides their only source of income. Sadly, her father spent all their income on gambling and ended up selling their house and store for cash. Even her mother's friend and their neighbors lent a hand to help her mom get a divorce, but this only made her father more enraged. After sharing her situation, Luchia says sorry to Valerie for being rude, and Valerie responds that she wants to help her, which Big Bro happily agrees with. If that's the case, Luchia would like them to assist her mother with the divorce, which is something Matthias has already planned. He encourages her to think of anything else she might want, as they are capable of helping her with it. In the end, Luchia reaches out for support to continue her education, and Matthias is more than happy to help her get into the National Academy. Once the divorce is finalized and the debt is transferred to the father, Luchia can definitely concentrate on her studies. I'm so glad Luchia chose education! Erlance thinks his uncle is really cool, and Valerie praises her brother's power, which makes Matthias stand there looking quite proud of himself. However, that doesn't mean he'll overlook what Valerie did. So when they got home, poor Valerie was punished by having to memorize the 101 safety rules for children. Days have gone by, and Valerie found out that Luchia's father has been imprisoned, while Luchia and her mom are heading to the capital for Luchia's enrollment. Now that's what real support looks like! Anyway, our girl's etiquette teacher turns out to be the Empress, and during their snack break, the Empress starts feeling a bit nauseous. This makes our girl distressed that there might be something wrong with the cake. However, it dawned on her that the Empress might be pregnant, as she had been pregnant about this time in the past, but that child died because of her mom. It's official, the Empress is pregnant, and the entire family is overjoyed. Karina wants to hold a celebration, but the Empress wishes to first go to the church and pray for the baby's health. Valerie looks fondly at the Empress, reminding herself that her mother has died, so the Empress cannot be poisoned, right? But a part of her can't help but feel anxious. Today, when they arrive at the church, they are warmly greeted by the Pope himself, Pope Bright Shell, and together they head to the chapel to pray. Valerie also prays, begging the god to please ensure the child is born safely. Following that, the Emperor and Empress begin discussing the contribution with the Pope, but because this will surely bore the 2 children, Pope Bright proposes that they explore the garden in the meantime. Erlance's eyes begin to glow, and he immediately agrees with everything the Pope says, leaving Valerie with no choice but to agree as well. I think he saw the future. Sir Bruno assigns both Rex and the blue-haired Lady Knight River to look after the children. Rex and River are enjoying their guarding duties, considering they are typically on the training grounds. Plus, the weather is lovely today. Rex comments on wanting a witty younger brother like the prince, while River wishes for a younger sister like the princess who enjoys holding swords. When they get in the lovely garden, Erlance appears to be looking for something, but then something jumps over Valerie, causing Rex and River to hurry towards them. Rex jumps to protect Valerie and crashes to the ground, while River protects the prince with her sword. Is this church evil or something? To their surprise, it's a tiger holy beast named Inokanti. The holy beast approaches Valerie, making her nervous that the beast sees her as a threat because of her glaciokinesis. But Erlance casually goes towards them, claiming that Inokanti is friendly. Valerie is not injured, but she is concerned about Rex, who instantly claims he has barely a scratch. "Sir, your uniform is torn and we can see your exposed skin on the back." Anyway, Erlance whispers to Valerie that he believes the Pope sent them to the garden to see an Okenty, so she doesn't have to be afraid because it is his hunch. Valerie cannot believe she's seeing two beings blessed by the god, so she decides to hold the holy beast and enjoys how warm it feels. From what Rex knows, holy beasts aren't very sociable, so he wonders if perhaps the princess has been chosen as its owner. After some time playing, the others arrive, and the Pope asks the big kitty not to be so clingy, given his size in comparison to the princess. To everyone's surprise, an Okenty starts licking Valerie's hand as a gesture of apology, which the Pope finds quite unusual since the holy beast is known to be fussy. When an Okenty hears that they have to leave so soon, he looks absolutely adorable as he cries. Valerie, wanting to comfort him, decides to give him her bow tie as a sweet reminder that they'll meet again next time. Our girl is now sleeping peacefully when she touches a fur ball under the blanket and hugs it because it's so warm. This quickly wakes her up and she checks to see what it is. It's an Okenty! The cat distribution system has chosen her! And that's it for today, guys. What did you think? As always, don't forget to like the video and comment for the next part so we know you want more. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates. See you in the next one!